Rachel had 48 hours. 48 hours before the landlord came, before the locks changed, before she and her daughter had nowhere to go. She stared at the eviction notice on her kitchen counter. $3 in coins sat beside it. Everything she had left. She couldn't sleep. She never slept anymore. At 2 a.m, something slid under her door, the soft whisper of paper against wood. The night a ghost walked her street. Rachel opened the door fast. No one was there. She stood barefoot in the hallway, listening. Silence. The building had gone quiet hours ago. Everyone was asleep. The fluorescent light above her head hummed softly. She looked down. A plain white envelope lay on the floor. No name, no address, just paper. She picked it up. Her hands were shaking. They'd been shaking for weeks. 60 days since her daughter's hospital discharge. 18 months since she'd slept through a full night. Rachel's fingers fumbled with the seal. She could hear her own breathing in the empty hallway. Fast, shallow. She tore the envelope open. Cash spilled into her hands. Her knees buckled. She grabbed the doorframe to keep from falling. Bills, 20s, 50s, hundreds. More money than she'd held in years. $6,000. She heard herself gasp. The sound echoed off the narrow walls. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She looked around again. The hallway stretched empty in both directions. No footsteps, no voices, no movement. Whoever had been here was gone. Then she saw the note. It was folded once. Plain paper. 3 words written in careful script. You deserve kindness. Rachel's vision blurred. She pressed the note against her chest and sank to the floor. The cold tile bit into her knees. Her shoulders shook. No sound came out at first, just silent, breathless sobs. Her alarm went off at 4:30 every morning. The diner shift started at 5. By noon, her feet were numb. By 8, she clocked out and walked 40 minutes to the office buildings downtown. She mopped floors until 2 a.m, then walked home. 3 hours of sleep. Repeat. She'd sold her car 6 months ago to pay half the hospital bills, smiling when her daughter asked why they ate pasta every night, pretending not to see the holes in her daughter's shoes. Rachel had stopped making eye contact with people months ago. She moved through the world with her head down. Customers at the diner looked past her. Her landlord's assistant never acknowledged her. Even her own reflection in the mirror seemed faded. She refilled coffee without being asked, wiped tables before anyone noticed they were dirty, nodded when people snapped their fingers. But someone had seen her. Someone had cared. Rachel sat on that cold floor for 20 minutes, clutching the note and the cash. She couldn't move, couldn't think past the pressure in her chest. The building settled around her. A pipe clanked somewhere below. A door creaked on the floor above. She read the note again. You deserve kindness. The handwriting was deliberate, each letter formed with care. Someone had taken time with this message. Finally, she stood. Her legs felt weak. She walked to the window at the end of the hall and looked out at the street below. Empty, dark, no movement. Whoever left the envelope was gone, a ghost who'd carried cash instead of chains. Inside were 3 words, written by a hand the world had mourned. Rachel couldn't sleep that night. She sat at the kitchen table staring at the note. The handwriting was neat, deliberate. Someone had taken time with it. You deserve kindness. She read the words over and over until they stopped looking like words and became shapes, curves and loops. The letter Y with a distinctive flourish, the D in deserve with a careful tail. She traced them with her finger. Who writes like this? The clock on the wall ticked loudly in the silence. 3:30, 4, 5. When dawn broke, Rachel was still sitting there. She thought about the neighbor's comment last week, something about a touring musician in the city, sold-out shows, someone famous who walked alone at night. Rachel had barely registered it. She'd been too exhausted to care about concerts or celebrities or anything beyond getting through the next shift. But now she wondered, The next morning, Rachel counted the money 3 times to be sure it was real. $6,000. Exact. She folded the bills carefully and put them in an envelope of her own. Then she walked to the landlord's office. The assistant barely looked up when Rachel placed the cash on the counter. Rachel told her it was the rent payment, all of it. The woman counted it twice, stamped a receipt, handed it back without a word. Rachel walked out into the sunlight. Her shoulders felt lighter. That afternoon, Rachel bought her daughter new shoes, real ones with no holes. Her daughter asked if she was sure. Rachel nodded, throat too tight to speak. On the walk home, her daughter chattered about school, friends, a field trip she might finally attend. Rachel listened and smiled. The bills still came, but now she could pay them. That night, she folded the note carefully and put it in her wallet. She carried it everywhere after that. She asked around, quietly. The building superintendent hadn't seen anyone. The security camera had been broken for weeks. Her neighbors heard nothing except that one woman who thought she'd heard soft footsteps around 2 in the morning. Rachel didn't push. Whoever it was didn't want to be found. But she kept the note. 3 words. That was all it took to change everything. Not a speech, not a lecture. Just 3 words that told her what she'd forgotten. She mattered. Weeks passed. Her daughter smiled more. Rachel slept in her own bed again, woke up without the crushing weight. The future looked different. And every night she thought about the envelope, about the person who had seen her when no one else did, about the ghost who'd walked her street and left proof that kindness doesn't need a face. She'd seen that handwriting before, somewhere. It nagged at her. The way the Y curved, the way the D looped at the end. Rachel had seen it. She was certain. But where? She started noticing handwriting everywhere. At the diner, when customers signed receipts. At her daughter's school, when teachers wrote notes. In the grocery store, on shopping lists left in carts. None of them matched. One evening, she was folding laundry. Her daughter sat at the table doing homework. The TV played in the background, a documentary about musicians who changed the world. Rachel wasn't paying attention. She folded a shirt, then another. The narrator's voice droned on about concerts and albums and cultural impact. Then the screen showed a close-up of a handwritten letter, a fan letter from decades ago. Rachel froze. She knew that handwriting. The towel slipped from her hands. It hit the floor with a soft thump. She grabbed the remote and paused the screen. Her heart pounded. She pulled the note from her wallet and held it next to the television. Identical. The same careful Y. The same looping D. The same deliberate precision. Rachel's hands shook. It couldn't be. But it was. She stood there for a long moment staring at the screen. Her breath came in shallow gasps. The room felt too small. Her legs wobbled. Her daughter looked up from her homework and asked if she was okay. Rachel nodded slowly. She couldn't speak. She sat down on the couch, still holding the note. The documentary continued. Stories of secret hospital payments, anonymous donations, families helped in the middle of the night. All of it done quietly. No cameras, no press releases, just kindness. Just ghosts walking city streets with envelopes full of hope. Rachel watched in silence. When the program ended, she sat in the dark, the note pressed against her chest. He had been in the city that week. She remembered now. Posters everywhere. Her co-workers at the diner had talked about it endlessly. Some of them had bought tickets. They'd been giddy for days. Rachel hadn't paid attention. But he must have heard something, seen something. Maybe someone at the diner mentioned the woman working double shifts, the eviction notice, the daughter with holes in her shoes. And he had come, at 2 in the morning, alone, silent. He slid an envelope under her door and disappeared. No recognition, no credit, no signature. Just 3 words. You deserve kindness. Rachel pressed her hand against her mouth. She wanted to tell someone, to shout it, to thank him, but she didn't, because she understood now. The gift was meant to be private, sacred. It was meant to remind her that she mattered, that she was seen, that ghosts don't haunt, sometimes they save. She wiped her eyes and looked at the note again. Subscribe for more stories like this. Would you keep a gift like this secret? Then the documentary showed his letter. Rachel couldn't stop thinking about it. She searched for more information, found articles, testimonies, hospital administrators who confirmed anonymous payments, families who received envelopes in the night. The handwriting matched every time. She read everything she could find. There were dozens of stories, hundreds maybe. People who had been helped in silence, people who never knew until years later. Some of them had gone public. Others kept it private. Rachel decided to keep it private. She never told anyone. She never sold her story. She never reached out to journalists or biographers, because the gift had been private, and she wanted to honor that. But she carried the note everywhere. The paper grew soft from being folded and unfolded. The ink faded slightly, but the words remained. You deserve kindness. Rachel built a life on those 3 words. She started seeing herself differently, not as invisible, not as worthless, but as someone who mattered, someone who deserved kindness. Rachel found herself thinking in threes. $3 had been all she had. 3 words had changed everything. 3 reasons to keep going. Her daughter, the note, and the proof that someone cared. Her daughter graduated high school with honors, then college. Rachel sat in the front row at both ceremonies, the note folded in her pocket. Years passed. Rachel's hair turned gray. Her daughter got married, and Rachel still carried the note. When he died, the truth finally surfaced. In 2009, Rachel watched the news coverage with tears streaming down her face. Her daughter, now grown, came over and found her on the couch, sobbing. Her daughter asked what was wrong. Rachel pulled out the note with trembling hands. She held it out. Her daughter took it carefully. Her daughter read the 3 words. Her eyes filled with tears. She looked at the screen, Michael Jackson's face, then back at the note. She understood. She asked if Rachel had ever thanked him. Rachel shook her head. She never got the chance. They sat together in silence, watching the memorial coverage. The world mourned a legend. Rachel mourned a stranger who had seen her, a ghost who'd proved that kindness outlives the body. A week after the memorial, a journalist published an investigation. Anonymous acts of kindness, envelopes delivered in the night, hospital bills paid in secret, handwriting samples that matched. The article finally named him, Michael Jackson. Rachel read the article 3 times, then she folded it and placed it next to the note in her wallet. She finally had proof, but she still didn't go public, because some gifts are too sacred to share. Every year on the anniversary of that night, Rachel lit a candle. She sat in the quiet and thought about the man who had seen her, who had reminded her that kindness doesn't need a signature, who had walked her street like a ghost and left behind proof that she mattered. Her daughter inherited the note when Rachel passed away. She read the 3 words and understood everything her mother had carried. You deserve kindness. She folded it carefully and placed it in her own wallet. The paper was fragile now, the ink barely visible, but the words remained. 3 words outlived the man who wrote them. They outlived Rachel. They became a legacy, proof that kindness doesn't need a signature, just 3 words, and with them, the memory of a ghost who helped without needing the world to know, who saw the invisible, who reminded one woman in the darkest moment of her life that she mattered. Some acts of kindness echo forever. Do we honor them by keeping them silent?